and welcome to this week's look at action and stunts on film and television. How are you? Thanks for stopping by. You will know that this week we are in 1986 with this picture. It is the Delta Force starring big old Chuck and Lee Marvin. They are saving the day and, more importantly, saving a bunch of hostages who are being held captive aboard a flight by a brown-faced actor. I say that on the basis that he's actually a white man. It's Robert Forster, and at the time it didn't really seem to cause a great deal of confusion. Now it causes some issues now. I was reading a thing on Tinternet recently regarding a list of actors that have changed their skin tone or have been asked to change their skin tone for film and for television projects. Ben Kingsley's on there very clearly for Gandhi, but Robert Forster was also on there as well, and I had to go and double check it because I didn't see an issue with it. I mean, I appreciate 1986 at different times, but you know, I looked at the actor who plays the bail bondsman there in Jackie Brown, and okay, it was the same guy. I'd never really made the connection between the two. A lot of it is shot in Israel, and I imagine that a lot of the people that got a bit angry about the whole thing were the fact that there weren't any Israeli actors cast in the lead, and I imagine from a studio perspective they said, well, if we do that we won't sell the movie, which is possibly why they've had Robert Forster come in, a well-known actor at that point, having done lots of television and film, and needing somebody to bounce off an actor like Chuck Norris, literally bounce off a bit later on in the picture. The action scenes are the one thing that holds everything together. I do make reference to this at a number of points during the action that we look at, that if you try and understand the plot, or you try and understand the politics, or you try and understand anything regarding the movie, it's not going to make a great deal of sense. What you need to do is relax and just let the chaos swoop over you. Let it all happen. It's an hour and a bit, maybe. I think I may have said on the podcast it was about 2 hours long. I don't think it's 2 hours long. I think it's an hour and a bit, and it does fly by. There's plenty going on, but if you spend too much time analysing it, you'll get really angry with yourself. So don't do that. Just sit there, let it all happen. Let the action do the talking, because it's an action picture. Yes, it has a political undertone, but it is an action picture. Chuck Norris at the helm, doing what Chuck does best, and bringing on stunt coordinators like Don Pike, who's responsible for the action on this picture. BJ Davis is his second in command. There are familiar faces along the way, and we should have a look at some of the action, and it goes very much like this. So, encapsulating 1986 into a movie. That's exactly what Chuck and the boys are going to do here. Yeah, it was Charles Bronson originally, and the director, first-time director in this instance, Menahem, giving some action sequences, putting a lot of work into this picture to create as good an overall experience as possible. You don't need to worry too much about the plot. You don't need to worry about too much about the story. All you need to know is that these boys go in and save the day. There's a number of car crashes along the way, a great car chase, and there's a lot of good doubling along the way, and you know, you get an opportunity in a car chase like this to experience knocking doors off cars, more importantly turning them over, and there's a sequence that comes up here where that's exactly what happens. Melons go for everywhere. That crashes into there. Some more Jeep stuff here. These buggies are great. Love that. They're terrific. Good jumps as well. And there, Don Pike with the director. Don Pike's the stunt coordinator. Breaking down what needs to be done, going through what's happening. Has many years of experience working with Chuck and knows exactly what is to be expected. So we have stunt team, BJ Davis, like the assistant coordinator really on this picture. Greg Galt, another fine stunt man. BJ Worth and Gary Pike, yes, that BJ Worth. And Gary Pike is the son of. And Mike DeLuna, who's featured quite heavily in this particular sequence. And that's John Epstein, who is Chuck's double and wearer of said fine mullet. Nicely done. Can't just carry that off, you know. So that's Don Pike. He's the stunt coordinator. There's going to be this chase sequence we've seen a little bit of, and then there is to be a Jeep turnover. And that's to be done here in the road. This is a little rehearsal shot. They're going to put a pipe ramp in place. That pipe needs to be put in such a location whereby it can be hidden there. It's going to be hidden by those boxes there, only momentarily, but the camera will move quickly enough so you won't see it behind there. And more importantly, at the end there is a kicker. That's a kicker. You don't run the tires up, you go up. This is a little test run to make sure he's in the right line. You straddle the pipe and you get to the far end and it will throw it one way or the other. Mike DeLuna is the driver. He's there on the right-hand side. He will be behind the wheel of this vehicle. There's going to be two people in this vehicle. Mike will be driving, and his occupant will be, well, he's not the most natural actor in the world, if the truth be known. A little bit stiff in places, but Senor Dummy will be sitting next to him. And again, it's just, it's a momentary thing. He'll have a 5-point racing harness in there. He will have a helmet on. He will be completely safe and sound. All of these checks are done prior. This is the take. Car comes in, straddles the pipe, and over it goes. Nice little rollover, lands on its wheels. Job is a good one. And then the safety team go in to make sure that Mike's okay. More importantly, his passenger will live to fight another day. Residuals on the table for El Senor Dami. And Mike comes out triumphant. This is the final sequence as you will see it in the picture. There it is there. That's the turnover. Nice explosion at the end just to give everything a little pick-me-up along the way. Rest of the sequence is very good as well. There's got little moments along here. This guy, oi, bosh, dropped out onto there, and then a car comes. There we are, look. So it's Coyton's. And over another one there, look. Don Pike does that one himself and drops it over onto the side. This is a sequence later on whereby Chuck on the motorcycle must grab onto the vehicle. You will note, please, the speed in which yon vehicle is travelling. Not very fast. It's not undercranked, but they film it in such a way to give it the impression of speed, right? It's not travelling very fast. Chuck's going to do a large proportion of that himself. That's him getting off the vehicle. The rest of the fight is all his, because there is now a handheld fight again, worked out. He's the kung fu man. He's the karate man, right? If it's fight arranging you're after, well, he knows about what takes place. And if you just look as they come into shot here, they go roll. That's him coming off the vehicle. Runs at him, whack, flips him over. And this is the final version in the film. So not travelling very quickly, and then immediately cuts back. You see your eye is taken off the speed of the vehicle by the falling motorcycle. You've got camera shots underneath and above. That's Mike DeLuna once again behind the wheel. And again, it's not terribly quick, but what they're trying to do is to take your mind off the fact that it's going at 7 miles an hour and take more consideration about, look, those type of shots. The issue that he's trying to prevent. And then a guy comes over the top who will eventually then say, look, can I help? And he says, yeah, take over. So he jumps down, and then these pair jump off, and then there is the fist fight. Hey! There, flicks him over. They've gone from the long shot to the short shot. Most of these look like they're landing, when in point of fact they're not, but that's the beauty of the man. He knows his stuff. He's very good at doing what he does. He said himself he was doing a great deal more motorcycle work. Now, to be fair, he doesn't do a great deal. Yes, he rides the bike, look, and he's going to be stretching up and reaching onto. But that is John Epstein. He won't be doing any, Chuck won't be doing any of the dangerous stuff. He'll be riding motorcycles. Here's an example of him riding a motorcycle in the picture. There's a couple of moments where he's riding it very clearly. He's not on a rig. It's definitely him on two wheels. This is a nice little shot because the motorcycle arrives. They're firing at the plane. The motorcycle will then arrive behind the Jeeps. It's got some sort of, they are machine guns on the front, and those boys are then dropped off the vehicle. Got them as well. Off he goes. Then he goes in front of them, fires the rockets from behind, and then there's explosions. So it's all that stuff happening down the runway. He's then going to come right round the other side. It won't be travelling that quickly, but there is a distinct possibility of, if the full bore goes on, then he might catch a face full of that. And the wind, there's the cable coming down, the rope coming down, and must speed up in order to catch it. There's the edit as he grabs hold, loses hold jumps up. There we go, jumps up onto the saddle. This is done. This is long shot. It's clearly not him. It is Epstein, and there he goes. And it's exciting enough. Really good stuff. Once again, ticking all the boxes. That is Chuck Norris in action. You believe every word. Here's a little shot. This is nice. Look at that nice fall off there. Another one here. Bosh! And he dives over the top. Great stair fall here as well. Not quite sure who this is, but gets to the top. Bang! Hits him. And then I've slowed this down. Tricky little number down metal steps. Does that very well. And then this is the finding of the villain. You look out the window and El Chucko is outside. He runs for his machine gun. Gone. Where's he gone? Oh, he's through the windows. That's where he is. Comes hurtling through the window. Gary Pike now doubling for our villain. Gets a good old beating here from Chuck. And rightly so. He's been very, very nasty man during the entire picture. Cuts are done to try and speed everything up. But again, these fights worked out to the last detail. Chuck would have been responsible for a great deal of this anyway. Throws him over his shoulder through the table. That's nice. Robert Forster is the actor. Of course, you will remember him from Jackie Brown. He's the bail bondsman, the guy that falls in love with Jackie Brown. A marvellous film. You wouldn't have thought it was the same actor. That's how good he is. But all in all, a splendid picture and some great little action sequences, and well worth a watch if you haven't already seen it. See, I told you, just let it happen. It's going to be okay. Chuck's going to win in the end, and certainly he does as far as that's concerned. We are going to look at a few more Chuck Norris pictures later on in the year, so I hope you enjoyed that. I've always been a big fan of that. Next week, I'm not going to tell you. You know why? I have absolutely no idea what's happening next week, because I've got a couple of other bits and pieces happening, and they're sort of dovetailing each other. So you will know when I've made up a decision. This one's being recorded late on. Normally I try and get them done as quickly as possible, but I've had a bunch of bits to do. So on the strength of that, we will regroup next week for a bit more. Don't forget to check out the Pod Dojo Network, who are responsible for the podcast, and have an explore of all of their different podcasts. There's plenty to choose from. And we'll do it all again next week, shall we? Wednesday for the podcast and Friday for the YouTube show. Until then, it's bye for now.